Welcome along everybody to the northeast of Italy, and welcome along to the Temple of Speed. We're here in Monza for round 11 of the Invictus Racing League PC F1 League, where we come to a track that's been part of the F1 calendar since 1950 and served as a racetrack for decades before that. Italy has always been a country for flamboyant racecraft, racing arguably the fourth virtue for many petrol heads across the world. It's father-like quality that Italy has, as it encapsulates San Marino and the Vatican City, the two smallest countries in the world. The main straight here at Monza is as long as the widest edge-to-edge distance of the latter. There may be a main straight of a track, but there's also a mix of chicanes and high-speed corners that are instantly recognisable amongst race fans all over the globe. The likes of Parabolica, Ascari and the two Lesmos being some of the most iconic names hosting this round of the championship. Two DRS zones and plenty of opportunities to overtake. It's high speed and high risk, something we all love. I'm joined again by Cameron, who I'm assuming loves this track just as much.
Good evening everyone, we're back with a classic track in Monza. As mentioned, the Temple of Speed and Talking of Speed qualifying is already underway. So welcome, it is round 11, another week, another race. And what more could you ask for? Amir is asking to get his tyres warmed up on an outlap already around this iconic track in Monza. Should be a brilliant race. We went from the Netherlands, which is a tight, twisty track, a bit like Monaco and Hungary and the like, where it was hard to do some overtaking, although we were proven wrong there. Whereas now we arrived at Monza, a track that, wow, just asked for overtaking action throughout the entirety of the race. And Amir is your first driver who will be starting the lap. Fozzy, you've had a little break now from the intro. It's time to get back behind the mic and take us a lap around the Temple of Speed.
Yes, a track which I'm sure you've all rode on board with in the past. The Temple of Speed, as you say, and it is a lot of speed that you get up to down the main straight. It's DRS wide open as you head down towards return 1 and 2 chicane. Speeds of over 200 kilometers an hour, 209 miles an hour even. Amir has just hit. Heavy on the brakes though for turns 1 and 2, and an exit here is key as you carry your speed that you get from turn 2 all the way around the Curva Grande as you head around turn 3 as it is. Not much of a corner in these F1 cars. It's flat round here as they say, and you head down towards turns 4 and 5, and that is one sector complete already. Being a first driver, it is a purple sector. He's got a few cars ahead of him as he just dips onto the gravel there. That might impact his lap time, although I'm sure he will put a further quicker lap in later on, as he is on the medium tyres at the moment. We negotiated Lesmo 1 well. He does 2 just as well, and onto the DRS again. We're getting a little bit of a slipstream potentially from the McLaren in front of him, who does dive nicely out of the way to the left hand side, allows Amir to jump to the right hand side onto the racing line for the Ascari chicane. Now the curbs here can be quite dangerous if you catch them at the wrong angle, but Amir shows us how it's done very well. And then heavy on the power, 7th gear, 8th gear, all the way down to Parabolica, which has recently been renamed in recent times. And you want to make sure you get your speed just right as you come around here and try and carry that top speed all the way down the main straight and across the finishing line. It's going to be the first time on the board, and let's have a look what it's going to be. It's a 1:21.3, the time for people to beat.
1:21.3, decent lap on the medium tyre compound. As usual, the ring roll is they will start on the medium and then change to the soft tyre towards the end of qualifying. He now pulls over to the side. Amir is the second Red Bull in the championship standings and in 15th. DNF last time out and currently has 16 points to his name, and will hopefully be looking to take some more points in this round. Last time out, we had a bit of rain involved near the end, and well, we had some interesting overtaking manoeuvres, and I'm sure we'll see something similar this time out. DeLange at 93 on the soft compound tyre for the Williams team, setting the time by 1:24.96. Edu just behind him, the Haas driver, currently taking P2, starting grid provisionally with a 1:29.14. He's currently 10th in the standings, and he won last time out in the Netherlands, taking the first win for Haas in this season. And what a victory that was. We had action throughout the field as Mystarius has invalidated his lap through Ascari. Again, Ascari is all about trying to carry the speed throughout the corner, including the start, middle and the exit phase, as Undertaker carries speed throughout the entirety of the lap, taking a 1:19.937. Mystarius, they're invalidating his lap. Don't worry though, it's early on yet, as he rounds Parabolica, looks to probably go on for another lap, taking a slightly tighter line towards the finish straight. And currently is 8th with no time on the board. Again, good showing from Alpine already. 1 and 2 provisionally, but quite a gap between the two drivers there. Currently 4/10 gap between them, and now Cass is stuck behind Mystarius. The large in the pits, and now we look towards Jeremy Clarkson, who has also invalidated his lap. So a couple of cars getting a little bit on the edge of the track limits, on the wrong side of those limits. In the game, of course, it is pretty strict on where those limits lie, unlike in real life Formula 1. And there is no discretion here at all. You're either in or you're out. And on that occasion, Jeremy Clarkson was most definitely out, but he looks to go again. He's got plenty of ERS charged up, and again also has no points. Daigoro and Jasper. Daigoro's on an outlap, and Jasper is in the pits. We are missing a couple drivers this evening, as you can tell by the timing tower. There is only one Ferrari this evening, and there's also only one Red Bull at the moment as well. And but 2 McLarens, 2 Alpines, 2 Williams, and 2 AlphaTauris. So they'll look to gain big in the teams championship this evening, in which the current leader of the constructors is Mercedes, just edging out Williams by a couple points. McLaren behind them in P3, having a little bit of a battle with Alpine. Fozzy.
Yep, 2 invalidated laps for Mystarius now, and it was 1 invalidated lap for Jeremy Clarkson, but he has gone ahead. He's had a purple Sector 1 and a purple Sector 2, has the Mercedes driver. So let's see what Jeremy Clarkson can do as he rounds for Parabolica curb, and taking a lot of curb, as he does. Bringing it all the way over to the right-hand side, and he crosses the line. Jeremy Clarkson does go onto the front row, but a couple of attempts behind Undertaker, so Clarkson didn't get that purple Sector 3. Undertaker doing a little bit better in his lap. The only driver to make it into the 119s at the moment. And a bit of word from race control, we are looking at a bit of rain in the race as well. So that could, yes, play into strategy. Cameron, I'm sure you're fully used to the rain. We've done it quite a lot in the past, but how on this track, if you know it's going to be a wet race, what's your mind thinking when you go into qualifying? Do you see this track as being one where qualifying is as important as other tracks? We know we can overtake here, but when the weather comes in, does it play on your mind?
I think you've answered it perfectly there yourself. You know you can overtake around this track. You do have that straight line speed, and generally in the wet, it's all about getting the traction, and it is very slow to be caught, especially through Sector 1. You've got your first chicane, etc. Then you have a medium high-speed section, but as long as you get a reasonable traction, you shouldn't have to step up the downforce levels too much, because you want to make the most of that long straight, which Jasper is about to make the most of, starting his first flying lap. He validated his last outlap, but that does not matter for the McLaren driver. But it is all about the setup. Do you add on a little bit more downforce, sacrifice yourself in qualifying a little bit, and then hopefully have yourself in the wet portion of the race? We don't know when the weather's going to come. It could be at the start, could be at the end, and that factors into things as well. So these guys and these drivers will have some indication of when that rain may hit, and that might be factored into their decision.
And around goes Mystarius on his outlap at Lesmos 2. Just a little bit too much curb and loses his front wing. Lucky to keep all 4 tyres on the car. He was going quite quick for an outlap. As I said previously, he had 2 invalidated laps, so definitely keen to try and get a time on the board. But again, he's going to have to come into the pits, let a few cars pass as he is doing, stopping on the left-hand side actually to let those on a flying lap by. That was an Alpine and a Haas that went past him. But yeah, not the best
Jasper
qualifying
behind as well.
For the... Yeah, Jasper behind as well, so he's got to get out of the way quickly, has Mystarius. He's finding it difficult with no front wing, but he does just about manage to knock over some of the advertising hoarding and get out of the way. But yeah, not the qualifying the Aston Martin driver would have been looking for. And in the Constructors' Championship, well, he's not got his teammate to back him up this week.
E2 jumping up to P2 with a 1:20.004, 4 thousandths away from that sub 120 lap, which Undertaker currently holds, as he also takes to the runoff, trying to navigate the runoff, which is pretty hard to do in this year's game. It's not spaced out as it should be, but nevertheless, that doesn't matter. But for Mystarius, the only saving grace for the Aston Martin driver is he's got 8 minutes to get in, repair the wing, which will take around probably a minute and 50, and then get back out there and try and get some laps in. But it does slightly weaken your confidence a little bit, especially on an outlap, as Amir is also fairly low down, you'd say, in qualifying so far. The only driver not in or not below the 121 is currently the 121.316. So a little bit of work to do for the Rebel driver, especially considering he is the only Rebel driver this evening, as Jasper's invalidated his flying lap here. and Undertaker just improving that gap even further with a 1:19.732. So responded well to Edu's attempt at a fastest lap and his attempt at provisional pole, but Undertaker goes even further in that Alpine. It seems to be a rocket ship, that Alpine car this year, in especially how Undertaker is driving it. But look how close it is between Jasper and Edu here, both on track as well as times there. Wow, that was close. Jasper with a 1:21 and Edu obviously with that 1:20, only a tenth separating those two. And then look further back, Jeremy Clarkson, Delange 93, Excel Kankon and the like, all very close on qualifying, and that's what you'd expect with a track like Monza. You should get a pretty close qualifying because of the nature of the circuit and how flat out it is compared to more technical tracks such as the Netherlands, Hungary, Monaco, etc. Yeah, really good showing from the Alpine driver. Can anyone match him though? Now that is the question that is posed to the rest of the drivers. The likes of Jasper may be looking to do so. Currently taking the chicane there, taking a little bit of gravel with him too as he goes around Lesmo 1, turn 4, into Lesmo 2. Difficult corners, especially in the wet. If we do get rain, then this could be a cause of concern for drivers, especially in how they use the curb there. But all the way down to Ascari chicane. See another DRS zone here, although not really an overtaking opportunity. You wouldn't want to go for it, and he invalidates his lap too. So talking of low opportunities, that one's out the window for the McLaren driver. As Jeremy Clarkson's also on a flying lap around the curve at Grande into the Della Roggia chicane. Got a yellow flag ahead of him. Got Alpha Tauri and an Alfa Romeo who are trying to navigate their order of proceedings. Through Lesmo 1 we go. The Mercedes driver just using all the way up to the track limit there, all the track he can get to maximise the exit speed. Takes a little bit of a tighter run out of Lesmo 2. Now all the way down to the Ascari chicane. Mercedes driver goes, yellow flag ahead, that doesn't matter here. It is Liam Markham on the left that might have just lowered Jeremy Clarkson's focus through that chicane, but he looked pretty nailed on nevertheless, Fozzy.
Let's ride on board with Mastarius as he tries to go for another flying lap without having any issues occur in it. He's the only driver who's yet to set a time on the timing board. In front of him, he's got a mirror with the 1:21.3, as we said. And we said if this track might be quite close for times. Take a look at P6 and 7, just a thousandth of a second between Delange and Casper, so all to play for between those two drivers. But Mastarius makes his way around turn 3, the curve at Grande, and he's probably looking on his driver map if he has the ability to do that going at these speeds, but he's got quite a few drivers in front of him, one of them being an Alpha Tauri, the other one being a Red Bull, and it looks like the Alpha Tauri's got out of the way nicely just before the apex of Lesmo's 1, and he does manage to negotiate that corner quite nicely. Round we go, Lesmo 2, this is the corner that he lost it on just a few laps ago, manages to negotiate it and opens up DRS on the soft tyres to head down at 190, 200 miles an hour down towards the Ascari chicane. You got to carry your speed through this one. Like I say, be careful of the curbs, they can bite you when you least expect it. And he manages to negotiate them as well, which should be a fairly easy end to the lap now. Not too many things that can go wrong for him unless he makes an error into Parabolica. But let's see if he does that. His yellow flag to behind him, that's not going to impact him. All the way to the edge of the track, using as much of the grey stuff as you can. And it's going to be across the line for Mastarius, who jumps all the way up to the second row of the grid. P3 for 1:19.8, the third driver to make it into the 1:19s. That was the kind of time.
Great lap from Daigoro as well, the 66 car, closing up to the likes of Undertaker. They're really snuck under our radar there. The Ferrari driver doing a brilliant job in qualifying so far with just under, or just over 3.5 minutes to go. Those drivers that are in the pits will be looking to make their way out into the pit lane, out towards the exit and get among their flying laps. Daigoro then comes in for his final run, as Mastarius will also be looking to get back to the pits pretty shortly if he wants to get in, get a new set of rubbers on, and then change and get out there to take another crack at take the fast lap, which Edu has done with a 1:19.586 there. Wow, what a lap that is for the Haas driver. That is setting the new level of pace. The Haas was really taken in the last couple of rounds. I mean, he won the last round, and if this is any indication of a show of force from Edu, then you can't get any better than topping qualifying, which he's doing provisionally at the moment. But will he have enough time to get in and get around, or is that going to be his last run? He's got a McLaren and another car ahead of him. And we will just be able to see whether he can get in time. As you can see on the time board, we've got all sorts of cars now leaving the pits. Undertaker is leaving, attempting to now challenge and take back that pole position which he worked for earlier on in qualifying. See whether he's actually able to do that this time. Who else have we got? We've got Daigoro still in the pits for the time being. Mysterious also still in the pits. Jasper and RSD still in the pits. Jasper is out to start his final lap. We are going to see some traffic issues here. Now, whether Edu can hold on to maintain that pole position, that front row slot is not necessarily a requirement to win the race around Italy, but it certainly helps. However, you're never too sure of the powerful nature of the slipstream here in Monza. But if it's wet, then that will certainly help the provisional pole starter. But Jasper starting 5th currently is now on his out lap. And look at the pit lane. Edu is in as Emir is out to begin his final run. A green light obviously on the pit board there. So as we get towards the final stages of qualifying, Fozzy, do you think Edu can hang on, or do you reckon he's going to come under threat from a few other drivers?
Well, we found a bit of an issue down at the second chicane. Jasper has retired from the session, and by the looks of a driver map, he does seem to be out. I'm driving on board with his teammates, see if I can see where he's gone wrong, but I didn't manage to see. But yeah, Edu, well, also out of the session now, retiring in the pits, so Edu's happy with that lap at the moment. Undertaker, though, is going to be going for another lap if he can. There's a lot of support in the broadcast chat for Edu as well. So let's see if he can keep that provisional pole. Biggest threat at the moment is Undertaker with the 1:19.7. 2 tenths behind that provisional pole time. I'm riding on board with Undertaker. Yep, it's a purple sector 1, so he knows that he wants this pole position. Let's see if he can keep it together.
Around it goes.
Don't think that's going to be a pole position for Undertaker, so unless anybody else in the dying seconds of this session can set a flying lap, I don't know if anybody is setting any purple sectors at the moment, Cameron.
Daigoro managed to get across the line to start his lap in time, but he too has had a bit of a mess of the first chicane. Heavy braking into the corner, was not able to stop the car in time. He still carries on though. Will he be able to improve to potentially take on Edu's time set? For the time being, Edu will be looking with a little bit of hope that he too will be in pole position. Daigoro's out of contention. He's 9 tenths up in sector 1. What can Mysterious do? Will he be able to gain on him?
Marcus set a purple sector 2. He's going to be coming up with a bit of a slip. Oh no, and he's just invalidated his lap going wide at Parabolica. Marcus out of contention for pole position, Cameron.
Mysterious faster in sector 1 by 400ths. Will it be enough? We head into sector 2 through Lesmos 1. Gain on the traction, use the power, don't overrun the track limits. It's all about balance here through Monza and the use of speed and downforce. Now the DRS zone heading into Ascari. We'll come towards the timing sector for the end of sector 2. This is crucial. Will he be able to make enough time? Sector 2, he's just a 10th in it. It looks like it won't be enough unless he nails on the final part of this lap. We head towards the final corner, Parabolica, along the main back straight now. It looks like Edu will start on pole position. What can Mysterious do though? Will he be able to take 3rd, or will he be even able to take 1st, or will he remain the same? He takes a tighter line and he comes across the line, and it is 3rd position for Mysterious. He improves by a 10th, but nowhere near enough to take on the mighty lap of Edu, who now starts on pole position for the Grand Prix. What a brilliant qualifying, Fozzy.
Yeah, what a great qualifying that was. Congratulations to Edu on pole position. He's joined by the Alpine driver of Undertaker alongside him, and Mysterious will be happy to get up onto the second row of the grid as well. And it is a long run down towards turn 1. It's a very heavy braking zone as well, so we know that things can get a little bit colourful down there on the opening lap of the race. But Edu will be happy with that pole position. He's on form after winning last week around in Zandvoort. So let's see what he can do as he takes it now into the race. Remember, as I said, there's going to be forecast a little bit of rain. Whether that's wet from the start, well, we'll have to wait and see about that one. But it is, yeah, looking like it's going to be an interesting race. Not as many cars on the grid as what we've had in previous races, with a few drivers not joining us. But everybody qualified on the soft tyre there. Do they all know that they're going to have to be starting on the wets or the intermediates? It was a big gap as well between Edu and Undertaker. 1.5 tenths. That's quite a big gap when you look at the gap between Undertaker and Mystaris, or Mystaris and Daigoro. So, yeah, Delange and Cass still had that 1,000th between them. None of them two able to improve on the times that they set in the first half of the qualifying session. Lots of support, though, for Edu in the chat. Let's see what he can do as we move into the race. This is the Invictus Racing League, the PC F1 League, as we say, sponsored by GT Omega and in partnership with gridfinds.com and Drive 61, where the heavens are
Get my
opened.
umbrella out.
Yeah, get your umbrella out. The Temple of Speed, the Temple of Wet is what we're faced with today. Puddles all around, full wets by the looks of it to me. It's going to be an interesting race, and something tells me, Cameron, not all the drivers are going to make it to the end.
Well, that follows recent form. We've had multiple DNFs the last time out. Liam added another DNF to his current notch of DNFs, as well as the likes of Mystarius, who DNF'd, and Bashi DNF'd. Amir also DNF'd as well. So we're used to a couple drivers not making it. The rain will certainly add to the probabilities of a bit of drama around this track. Now, we still believe there will be plenty of overtaking opportunities as the cars begin their formation lap. The formation lap even more crucial in the wet, because you get a feel for the grip levels and where the grip is on the track there. And as we expect to see, all cars starting on the full wet tyres. Now, this will be interesting, Fozzy, because it is 27 laps, which means we don't know when the rain is going to dry off, and it could be the change from wets to inters and then potentially even to the slick tyres at the end. So it might not only be a battle won on track, but also in strategy and in the pit lane. But Edu leads them away, and all cars seem to get an okay start. The McLaren of RSD a bit further behind his teammate, who currently is out of position at the moment, but that will all be sorted come the end of the formation lap. But a lot of pressure on Edu's shoulders here. He won last time out in the Netherlands. He certainly has the skill, the pace, and the commitment.
Oh, who's that who's just gone off? Is that Marcus? That was Marcus who just had a bit of a moment there. I just managed to catch. I don't think he's got any damage, but he a little bit too heavy coming out of that first chicane. Just scraped the barrier on Yarmco, but he looks to be all good. But that just shows you what these conditions are like, doesn't it? It shows you that even at these slow speeds, it's not much grip out there. Obviously, your tyre temperatures are not in the optimum window when you're halfway around the formation lap, so that just shows how important it will be to get your tyres up to temperature for the start of this race. We know that there's a lot of traction required for the first few corners here, and a lot of positions to be gained as well if you can get it right. But if you're too heavy... Oh, Marcus nearly losing it again, and Marcus has lost it into the wall there.
Thankfully, damage doesn't carry into the race. That's
very
serious. Oh, and another one gone.
Yeah, we'll be happy to know that the damage doesn't carry. But that, as I've said, just shows you what it's like going into the race, and it just shows you the kind of conditions that the drivers are facing this evening. It's going to be a tough one, Cameron. I suspect, as I said, at the end of qualifying... Who's that? Hassan Alpine who's just gone round. I'm riding on board with Marcus.
This doesn't bode well, does it?
It doesn't bode well for what's about to happen over the next 27 laps, but I'm sure it will be entertaining to watch.
So we've seen issues on the way to the grid. Will we see issues into turn one? Well, I would potentially look at putting a bet on that. And as we see the cars line up, the Undertaker and Edu lining up in perfect sync there, actually, as they both are pretty much even Stevens heading to the grid. But will Edu lead at the end of lap one, let alone into turn one? Plenty of overtaking opportunities, plenty of drama as we wait to get underway. The lights illuminate for round 11 of Invictus Racing League, and we are go, go, go at the Temple of Speed. It's a cautious start from the front row. Undertaker getting a slightly poorer start, and there goes Jeremy Clarkson around into the wall. Edu takes to the inside line though. Undertaker looks to take the outside flank. Undertaker sacrifices corner speed. They touch, they make contact. Edu still leads. Undertaker sacrifice, but Daigoro struggling even further still. Mystarius up into third position once more and leads from Daigoro, but crucially Edu has a 4/10 lead already into Della Roggia, Fozzy.
And look at Jasper, who's making a move on Daigoro as well.
Wow.
Daigoro really struggling, and round goes Mysterious. He goes a little bit too wide, has to take to the escape road as well. Jasper's making up 3 positions already, so it's looking quite good for him, Cameron.
Mysterious now in a battle with the McLaren driver. He gets that one done. He looks forwards to Daigoro. Daigoro struggled heavily on the start, had 0 traction, let alone anything else, but really had the straight line speed to defend from the Aston Martin. But the Aston Martin has company from a fellow British team, the McLaren, who looks towards the inside, heading into Ascari. He backs out. Common sense worth more than potential damage to a front wing at this early stage. Towards the front, Edu leads by over a second in the end of lap 1. Obviously no DRS in these conditions. It would be simply dangerous to activate it, and we've already seen drama. We don't need any more. Cass, the Alpine, just watching Mysterious and RSD battle it out, looking to get opportunistic, and Amir, the Red Bull driver, currently a second behind Cass.
Oh, around goes Daigoro. He's into the wall. Daigoro into the wall just across the start-finish line. Unfortunate thing is, that's just, I think, past the pit entry. It's going to have to be an entire lap for the Ferrari driver.
Oh, he's trying to make it. He's trying to make it.
Okay.
Oh.
I've just gone on board with him, and he is a little bit further back than where I thought he was. So he does. Oh, is there someone round at the start as well? No, so I was looking on the driver track and I thought there was somebody else around. Dream start though for Edu, who managed to avoid near enough all of those issues. I think Marcus has had an issue gone around as well. Yes, he has. He's lost his front wing, has Marcus, and I think he just drove over a bit of advertising as well, but nearly sent the car into the wall. Car. And it is, as you say, a virtual safety car. Everybody's slowing down, neutralising the race. Yeah, a few drivers having to make pit stops. It's been a frantic opening lap. But let's face it, Cameron, I don't think we weren't expecting that.
No, especially with the rain, it just adds to it, doesn't it? All boils over on the racetrack. There have been a few spills in this very wet Italian Grand Prix. It is only a virtual safety car. No indication it will be stepped up to a full safety car just yet. And interestingly, Edu, although he led by over a second, he did end up having only a 5/10 gap later on. So potentially, Undertaker has the pace on Edu around certain areas of the track, but Edu has him matched in other areas. And we go green once more. Mysterious looking to gain on Jasper. I think he did get a better start through that virtual safety car, but Fozzy, it looks like there's been a bit of drama outside of Della Roger. Is that Daigoro and Jeremy Clarkson fighting out? They both came out very close together, and look at these two cars separated by a couple tenths. They're not fighting for points. In fact, they're fighting for not last, which is also a very prestigious award here at Invictus Racing League. How much does Jeremy Clarkson gain on Daigoro, and does he go for a daring move? He looks to the inside. Will he go for it? Will he back out? Daigoro interestingly on intermediate tyres, and Daigoro goes wide. He comes back onto the track, narrowly avoiding contact. He goes wide once more on the exit, but both cars maintain all 4 wheels on their cars and continue once more. But 5/10 separates Undertaker and Jasper. That is one of the closest battles on track. There's a couple though. Cass and the McLaren driver of RSD also pretty close ahead, or further down, sorry, for P5. The battle there, but a bit of spacing between these clumps of cars, which you do expect to see in these conditions. But Amir looking to gain on the likes of Cass and RSD, as Jeremy Clarkson gains on Marcus and Daigoro, who I believe Daigoro is in the pit lane again. He tried the intermediates, and in the words of Sebastian Vettel, no, it's not working on trying a different tyre compound to the rest of the field. A little bit too early for that just yet, and Cass still a little bit far behind to make a move ahead of his compatriots. But Undertaker gaining in the slipstream now on Edu, a little bit farther back, but don't worry, there's another massive long straight into a heavy braking zone. It's a perfect combination for overtaking. No need for DRS here. It could just be the requirement of straight line speed and a bit of overtake, Fozzy, as we look to see Edu setting the fastest time of 1:31.688. That's quite a while off what we were setting in qualifying. I know race pace alone, but you just see how slow the cars are in wet positions. And has there been a bit of trouble for Amir, who looks to have gone into the pits and drops down to P11? That could be a change on to the inter tyre. We've seen the other drivers attempt it, and it didn't go too well for him, but I believe he is still on the full wet instead. Now 4/10 separating Edu and Undertaker once more. I think we're going to be talking about these two for some while to come, Fozzy.
Yeah, we definitely talked about these two for a while, although as we've seen from a few drivers already, it just takes one little error to throw your race away. So let's hope that these two can keep it together for the next 20 or so laps. It's a long way to go. Yeah, we're on lap 4 of the Italian Grand Prix at the moment, and Undertaker has knocked a few tenths off that gap to Edu compared to what he had a few laps ago. He was on 6 tenths at the end of that virtual safety car. He's now down to just 4 and gaining with every straight that we have. And there's a lot of straights here at Monza, so he's got quite a few opportunities to gain even further and hopefully make the pass as well. We've seen Clarkson try and make a pass and fairly successfully make a pass through the Ascari chicane so far. So let's see if we can get any overtakes throughout any of the other chicanes in this track. Undertaker now just 2 tenths behind Edu as we go around the Parabolica. Let's see if he can make that move down in towards turn 1. He's 3 tenths behind now. He's dumping all of his energy, but so is Edu. And they're on fairly similar energy levels as well. Remember, no DRS, no drag reduction system in the letterbox and the rear wings at the moment due to the weather that we've got. Undertaker thinks better of it and holds back just a little bit and waits to make a move in a few corners time. Hopefully RSD locks up quite significantly, nearly goes into the back of the gearbox of the Aston Martin Pistarius. Pistarius has lost 1 position from where he started. The driver ahead of him is Jasper, who's made up 3 positions, so a good start for both McLaren drivers, whoever made up positions since the start of the race. Liam Markham, the biggest gainer so far, making 6 positions.
There's a brilliant battle actually involving Liam Markham here, as well as Delange and Cancon, as RSD and Mastarius. Battle is the name that is key here, and RSD and Mastarius sorting themselves out with Cass just behind. And again, a bit like Delange, Markham and Kangaskhan, those 3 drivers battling out as much as these 3. It's not for the podium position just yet, and this battling is probably costing a lot more time towards the end of the race, but it is fascinating to watch. And if you aren't subscribed, then do consider subscribing to Invictus Racing League. We bring action like this most weeks, especially this season, all the way up to the turkey on the table, the 23rd of December, I believe, or 22nd of December. I have to check in the description below for our calendar, but it's certainly a long season. We're on round 11 of a 15 round, so not many more to go. We are in the closing stages as Edu again setting another fastest lap to respond to Undertaker's previous fastest lap. So we're just seeing those both drivers sort of measure up, increase their overall limits throughout this track, and we've seen in real life that limits do get pushed, and sometimes the limits go it goes pretty wrong. In fact, it went pretty wrong here in real life, didn't it, involving Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. We could see similar levels of drama this evening. Mastari struggling on traction around Curva Grande. That's opened the door up slightly for Cass, who gains now just right in the rear wing of the Aston Martin, goes side by side, takes the outside through the Della Roggia. Does he get the job done? The Aston Martin has the inside. The Alpine takes to the curb, forces Aston Martin to take evasive manoeuvres. Mastarius is now in P6, Cass in P5. Although pretty interesting overtake. I do wonder if the stewards will have a look at that, considering that he did go off track, or whether it was sufficient enough. That's not for us to comment on. But whoa, Cass saving the Alpine there. That is what we can comment on. Almost in the barrier on the exit of Lesmo 2. Luckily, he averts potential disaster and maintains P5. At 2.7 seconds, he has to make up to the next car of RSD. The McLaren's running comfortably here, you have to say, Fozzy. Both up 3 positions, P3 and P4. Again, helping their constructors battle. They currently are 3rd. About 10 points behind Williams, and the nearest Williams is Kangaskhan, I believe. No, Delange down in P7. Kangaskhan just shortly behind him. So good day so far for McLaren. I hope we haven't jinxed that, but that seems to be the current pattern. But Undertaker again under a second, now nearing 6 tenths now to Edu. As well, Undertaker fishtailing once on traction, similar levels of traction to his teammate suffered just about a lap ago, Fozzy.
Yeah, the McLaren's found themselves in quite a nice place now. If you look at the track map, you can see they've not really got anybody around them. So they're just sort of racing on their own at the moment, a few seconds either side of them. 2 other drivers. Undertaker, as you say, he's keeping with Edu. Edu's not gaining too much. I think they're both, as you say, just measuring each other up. Both having little fishtaily moments and squirming on some of the corners as they get on the throttle. But I think what Undertaker needs is a bit of DRS, and until it starts drying out significantly, I don't think he's going to get that, and I believe it might be a wet race all the way through, so you have to make this work through energy management and gaining in the corners, which he's doing at times, but then dropping back on a few corners as well. So On the whole, the gap between Edu and Undertaker does remain fairly constant at about half a second. As I say, those McLarens have got a nice gap between them, as have most drivers as well. The Alpha Tauris are quite close on track to each other. Bashi just a few tenths behind his teammate Liam Markham, who was having a few moments just a few laps ago as well, trying to keep it facing in the right direction, keep it straight. But weather really catching out a lot of drivers here. I suspect a lot of them probably practicing for dry and not expecting Monza to open up the heavens.
No, it is slightly unexpected for these drivers. AlphaTauri looking for a double points finish here, something they didn't get in the Netherlands, which will help their little battle with Aston Martin, and potentially a battle between the two drivers here as Bashi takes towards the inside into turn 1. Liam Markham forced out using the inside there, and Bashi gets away on pretty good levels of traction too, and it's a swap around for AlphaTauri.
Undertaker is right behind. Just to cut in there, Cameron, sorry, Undertaker right behind Edu now. Maybe there was a moment for Edu. Oh, and Undertaker nearly has a moment of his own as we go around with 2 Lesmos. Let's see if he's got enough battery to make a move down towards Ascari. It looks like through those few corners, Edu has just managed to pull ahead a little bit, but Undertaker keeps it as far left as he can to try and minimise the distance he has to travel with the car by taking the inside line, and he has just lost that advantage that he had, but he's a few tenths closer than where he was a lap before.
Talking of driver swapping positions, it was AlphaTauri, then it was Williams. Kangakon getting around Delage 93, around Kerber Grande of all places. So it's Kangakon now in P7, up 4 positions from where he started. Delage down at 8th, back to where he started. Look how close the top front runners are here, gaining on braking there. Now in the wet race, it's ever more important to make 0 mistakes, because that's really your opportunities for other drivers. If you make the slight mistake and there is this only 4/10 gap, then that immediately neutralizes that gap completely and opens you up for attack from another driver here. If you're a bit concerned about all the locking up of brakes, we're pretty sure they're not locking up their brakes this much. It's the F1 game. It's for dramatic effect, and we don't need any more drama realistically here, but nevertheless, the battle rages on.
Let's have a look at the battle at the back of the field. Jeremy Clarkson gets a much better drive through Ascari to try and get past Amir for the, just outside the points positions. The Mercedes trying to go around the outside of the Red Bull. Where have we seen that before? We get some move done quite nicely into Parabolica and should get a good drive down that pit straight all the way into turn 1, but up at the front it's still quite close between Edu and Undertaker. Undertaker just a few tenths behind. Cameron?
The battle continues with Jeremy Clarkson and Amir. Amir pushing to retake that position. Jeremy Clarkson also burning energy, waving along the straight from both cars, trying to get in and out of the slipstream, but Jeremy Clarkson still leads for now. Again, another battle to keep an eye on as we see the lone Haas of Edu, sorry, not Edu, never mind, disregard. I've completely mixed up my cars there. I don't know what happened there. Never mind. The battle continues between Undertaker and Edu. There's what I want about this time, get the words correctly. And now you do just wonder which car out of these two is the slippier car in a straight line. Does Undertaker gain enough to warrant overtake in the coming laps, or is he just having to hang on for a slip up of the mistake by Edu here, as Jasper sets a 1:31.243. P3 3.8 seconds away from the battle for the lead. Now you have to say, as Bashi is out, Parabolica, and that is a full safety car there, and Mastarius is also in the pit, so that is perfect timing for Mastarius. Does he go on to a new set of tyres? Well, of course he does, but what kind? And it looks to be the full wet tyres, a wing change as well, and he could gain massively out of this if the rest of the pack will look to box as well. But the safety car is out on lap 9 of 27, and that might just shake things up once more. It brings the likes of McLaren, who were having a fairly quiet and calm race, into this mega battle for the lead between the two front runners, Undertaker and Edu. And now the likes of Daigoro Marcus are also brought back in to potential battle for some points here, as we'll see who goes in the pits. Looks like Jeremy Clarkson's exiting the pits, and Marcus is also getting a change of tyres, still on the full wet. I'm assuming, Fozzy, that it is going to be this level of severity of wet for the remainder of this Grand Prix. Have we got any word from race control? No? Okay, he's gesticulating that we don't have any news from race control, and so we are in the blind as much as viewers, but that's what makes this fun, as Edu now looks to get down the main straight, and he does box indeed, Fozzy.
Edu, as you say, comes into the pits, as do the top three. Bashiro, it's a shame for him to DNF. The driver who's been with us since the start of the season, the only driver with us since the start of the season not to have a DNF, now means every driver with us since the start has unfortunately retired in one race this season. So the wet weather didn't help Mashi, but it's good for his teammate who's up there in P6 at the moment, going long off those tyres and choosing not to box. Comes out in the race lead on track at the moment. He likely will need to come into the pits unless he can make those tyres go to the end. So where he stands at the moment, Liam Markham, it is good. Good points for the Alpha Tauri outfit, as we are on lap 11. The Italian Grand Prix, the Invictus Racing League, as we say, the PC F1 League, sponsored by GT Omega and in partnership with gridfinds.com and Driver61, where we've only had one retirement this race so far. The Alpha Tauri of Bashi, who bashed it into the wall coming out of Parabolica. And his teammate Liam Markham, who leads his teammate Liam Markham, who leads this race at the moment, with Edu behind him and Undertaker. P2 and 3 have been battling quite significantly throughout this race since the start. Edu started on pole, and it's looking good for them at the moment, on fresh sets of boots as well. So when this does come into the race, apologies Liam, see you in the chat there. I can understand it's going to be quite sad for you, as you say, your first DNF since starting with us. But it's good, as we say, for your teammate who's up there. P1 at the moment, Cameron.
Do you mean Bashi? Is it Bashi in the chat? You said Liam in the chat. That threw me off. Then I was
Did I say Liam in the chat?
I was going to say Liam's doing a great job here. He's leading the race and is chatting as well. Wow, isn't that marvellous? It's amazing what these drivers can do. Now, what is... Yeah, multitasking at its best. Interestingly, because it's a wet race, you don't have to do your mandatory pit stop, do you? So... no. It's going to be a long... If Liam Markham really wants to go for the win and take these tyres all the way, it's going to be a long stint, because they've done 11 laps already, and they're definitely our Wellington boots variety to date. And it'll be interesting if Liam Markham does cause a bit of interference for the likes of Edu and Undertaker, Jasper, and the rest of the pack, as they will have slightly better grip. Mastarius, with his slightly early pit stop, does gain a position. He is back in 8th, and he lost... to it earlier, so he's back there once more, although poor safety car time from his perspective. Just he went in, safety car came out, and unfortunately didn't able to capitalise on that as much as expected, but the safety car goes around once more. So for some more filler content, Daigoro has had a bit of a mare, hasn't he, Fozzy? Down 9 positions from where he started, and that seems to be Ferrari having a few issues throughout the season, instances like this. And you do have to wonder if he can now capitalise on the safety car. He's already 33 seconds off. It's going to be a little while for him to catch up. In fact, you've got the likes of Jeremy Clarkson, Marcus and Daigoro all away from the pack by quite some distance. So we could be out maybe even for another lap, unless Burt Maylander says, screw it, we're going without you, which sometimes does happen in the Formula 1 game. What do you think of Liam? Do you reckon he's going to hold on for the rest of the way on these tyres, or do you reckon he's going to succumb to, I'd imagine, the frantic pit strategist? Fozzy?
Well, he doesn't look like he's had any intention of coming into the pits during the safety car period, does he? So maybe he's thinking that he can stick it out all the way to the end, or maybe he knows something we don't. Will it come to dry tyres near the end? We'll have to see how the weather pans out. But Edu, I think, is expecting the safety car to come in this lap. He's been weaving, trying to get temperature into those front tyres. And he's going to maybe try and make a jump on Liam Markham should the safety car come in this lap, but we haven't had any message from race control, so I think, as you said, Cameron, we are in for another lap at least of safety car action. Yeah, Liam Markham, though, it will be a long stint if he can take it to the end of the race. You mentioned that you don't have to make a mandatory pit stop when it's wet weather compound, so he is legally able to go to the end. It's all within regulations. It's just a case of, is he able to manage those tyres all the way to the end, or does he know something that we don't know, Cameron?
Yeah, the weather can change, and it can change very quickly as well. Is he just hanging out to change over to inters or slick conditions? To us here, it looks like the rate just hasn't changed in the the level of downpour, so I'd imagine he'll probably remain the same, but you never know. He might have his little the weather rock in his car to measure how much rain is coming down and able to make his own strategy and go against the grain as such, which sometimes pays dividends in Formula 1. And maybe it's worth it in today's situation with potential big points on offer for AlphaTauri with the one car remaining. So he's got all the work to do. And but luckily there's a lot of other cars, a lot of other teams, sorry, today that only have one car in. So it's not too much of an issue. Just give you an update on Jeremy Clark's Marcus. They've caught up to the pack, but Daigoro is still 30 seconds behind. I do feel that Bird might just have enough of this now and might call it and come in. Unless Daigoro is trying to make the safety car stay out as long as possible. I'm not too sure. We don't want to speculate on strange strategies, but I would have thought he would have caught up a little bit more by now, Fozzy.
Well, we will find out if the safety car is coming in this lap right about now, as it is going to be coming in this lap. Calculated as ever, Cameron. It is Liam Markham that's going to lead this safety car restart. Edu right up in the gearbox of AlphaTauri, as is the Alpine of Undertaker in the Haas. Let's see, though, who's going to get the best start. They're all weaving and weaving like a Strictly Come Dancing final as they try and get temperature into those tyres. We know that temperatures can be low in the wet weather, especially when you're on the full wet tyres. Daigoro is just about making his way through Ascari now. He might be able to get a little bit closer than where he was a couple of corners ago. Liam Markham taking this one all the way up to Parabolica, and it looks like he's gone now, has Liam Markham. So he goes early around Parabolica, and Edu hugs the inside line to try and get a move on him, but he isn't able to do it there. But he will have a little bit of overtake and a bit of a slipstream to help him down towards turn 1. He has got the better drive out of Parabolica. Looks like Clarkson and Amir are fighting, but up at the front, as you say, Edu is on the charge. He's going to dive to the outside as Markham defends the inside, comes back across to defend the outside. Edu has to back out of that one. Cass and Jasper are going side by side. Cass making his way through on the inside of turn 3. Delange and Jeremy Clarkson also going side by side. Clarkson making up a few positions of this safety car restart. Good stuff for the Mercedes driver.
Liam Markham still leads. 3 attempts is the gap. Edu's playing it safe, I think. I think he still thinks Liam's going to have to box at some point. But look, Liam struggling on the old tyre. New versus old when it comes to winter boots. And what has occurred there? Edu has dropped back for some reason. He ghosted on my end and is now in 3rd position. Undertaker takes 2nd. Liam still leads. And Jeremy Clarkson has a penalty, Fozzy. And RSD and Jasper also battling it out. McLaren will swap positions once more, and these two are going to the end with this battle between them. McLaren could have capitalised on more at the race start. They're already 2.8 seconds behind the leading pack, and that might be too little too late for them come the end of the race. Exile Cancom, championship leader, has had a bit of a silent race so far, leading by a multitude of points, but now is looking to gain and potentially get a top 5 finish here. He gains on the run-in to Parabolica, and as we look to the front of the pack, that's where the interesting battle is now. We got Undertaker looking to now take the lead from Liam Markham. He's got past Edu via unconventional means. He takes to the outside already, which will be the outside for turn 1, the inside for turn 2, and he already is ahead of Liam Markham. Liam Markham fights back in the braking zones. The last of the late breakers goes slightly wide, and it's Liam who still leads, and that's causing a bit of a trouble for Undertaker as he struggles for grip, and that allows Edu to take that opportunity and run away with it, and is up on the inside through Curva Grande and is back into 2nd position, still 3 tenths behind Liam Markham as Amir headed into the pits. Daigoro and Jeremy Clarkson are also battling it out, heading into De La Rogia. He's got Delange ahead of them. It's Jeremy Clarkson on the inside. Daigoro having to go wide there, having to take the deeper line to keep enough room for Jeremy Clarkson, but gets past and maintains 10th. A very clean manoeuvre right there, but Undertaker now 2 tenths behind Edu, but struggling for grip. That drops him back to just over half a second away from the top 2. Cass is also behind. Will he look to maybe get ahead of his teammate dominate in the inter-team battle, or will he settle for 4th position as it is at the moment? It'd be great points for Alpine, who are currently 4th with their battle with McLaren. Edu now needs to get this move done on Liam Markham so he can put a car between him and the chasing Alpines. The Alpines loving this race so far. Cass up 5 positions, Undertaker down 1 from where he began, but it's a brilliant race from them, and they'll look to take down Edu, as Edu needs to severely get past Liam Markham, but that's going to be hampered his efforts there via that little struggle with grip on the exit of Parabolica. It's an easy corner with a dry, a slightly tumultuous one in the wet. Liam Markham takes the inside. There's overspeed here. Will the Alpine look to make it 3 wide? No, he backs out, but here's the battle between Edu and Liam Markham. Liam Markham just keeps ahead. They rub wheels, they make contact, nothing too severe. Liam Markham is derogated down into 2nd, but he's still on the inside. For Curva Grande, he now backs out. Edu is once more the leader of this race. Liam Markham still up 12 position from where he started.
On the scene now. Undertaker on the scene to try and make a dive on Liam Markham. He thinks about it on the inside. Oh, and he catches the curb, which sends the front of the car up into the air as well. With that move by Edu would be crucial to get that car between him and Undertaker. Gives him clean air to pull away from Liam Markham, who at the moment, as far as we're concerned, is still in contention for a win here if he's pulling off some funky strategy without boxing under the safety car. As one of the only drivers not to do so. Undertaker goes a little bit wide through turn 7.
Sounds good, defensive.
Kisses. Yeah, very defensive. Insane, says the chat. That is what this strategy could be from Liam if he manages to pull it off. Undertaker, though, is still trying to find a way past. Look how much of a gap Edu has managed to pull in less than a lap. He's pulled just over 1.5 seconds. We see a time penalty for Marcus down at the back of the field there, who's battling with Daigoro. There's a bit of a battle going down towards the back end as well. But where the 2 McLarens are, well, Jasper is right up behind Cass, who's just left the session. His car goes into ghost mode. But Undertaker now has got a great drive on Liam Markham. He should get this move done way before the end of the straight. Markham comes over to the left.
Whoa.
Oh, they almost touched. I think they did touch, Cameron.
Yep.
But Markham manages just to keep it going in the right direction. He doesn't cause too much damage or sacrifice his or the opponent's race. But it's Liam Markham down into 3rd position at the moment. Edu and Undertaker, P1 and 2.
Jasper and Cass and the other McLaren getting involved. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel battle there. Cass, unfortunately, a little bit sacrificed by him, well, not being here. He's back, though, in the game and ready to take on the McLarens, who jumped ahead of him. Alpine now are on the fight back. They were controlling their battle with the propriety, but look at Cass, barely in control of the Alpine. Kangaskhan and Mystarius battling behind them through Lesmos 1 into Lesmos 2. They know that there's potential big points on offer here, especially for the championship elect here, and there is a yellow flag, and it's Edu. Edu is going slowly. He has lost a lot of his wing, all of his wing. He has a no downforce there at all, and that's a virtual safety car. Ladies and gentlemen, the race has turned on its head once more. Undertaker now leads Liam Markham P2 with a very strong chance of taking the race win, if not the feisty McLarens behind him. And will that be stepped up to a full safety car, or will it remain at his virtual safety car? At the moment, it's all neutralised. Drivers have to reduce speed by around about 40% as Marcus has left the session, keeping to a doubter. You'd imagine all the cars are going to stay out, but chat, that was one hell of a battle we were witnessing there. And insane. On lap 18 of 27, I'd imagine we still got some way to go. Liam Markham, actually surprisingly, Fozzy, holding his own there. He did drop down a little bit, but really holding on to positions. And maybe that tyre isn't as bad as we think it is. And there goes Mystarius around. He made contact with the car ahead of him, heading into turn 1. The slightest bit of contact has sent him plummeting down the timing tower. He stopped stationary at turn 1. Doesn't want to make contact with the cars. He's now becoming a lawnmower. Don't spin it, Mystarius. All the wires are watching you. He manages to get underway once more. Has a penalty as well. And so does Undertaker and Liam Markham, Fozzy. And let's just see how long that penalty is. It is a drive-through. A drive-through, ladies and gentlemen, for Undertaker and Liam Markham. That would be for speeding under virtual safety car. So on the doubter, they would have been slightly over that, trying to maximise it. And that means now McLaren are in the prime seat for taking a 1-2 here. Where have we heard that before, ladies and gentlemen? A 1-2 in Italy for the Papaya team from England. And now well, Fozzy's full of excitement there. His mic's doing a drive-through, let's put it that way. And Jasper and RSD just have to now wait for the top two to serve their drive-through, and this has gone from bad to worse for the drivers at the front. It's been a roller coaster for them. Unfortunately, they're on a bit of a downwards spike in the roller coaster, and an upwards one for Jasper and RSD here. My oh my, Fozzy, that was certainly something interesting there. That changes the race completely.
It really does, yeah. McLaren 1 and 2, where have we seen that before? I wonder. Yes, it really does change up the race, and we see penalties all over the place. Mustaris gets a 5-second time penalty, and does go to retire in the pit lane as well. So not as good as what the Aston Martin driver would have been looking for, but yeah, it really does shake up the race. 2 drive-through penalties that we somehow managed to miss. With all the penalties that were going on and everything that has been happening over the past few laps, it's been a wild 19 laps in the PC F1 League here. The Italian Grand Prix, sponsored by GT Omega and in partnership with GridFan.com and Driver 61, where we see the 2 McLarens battling it out behind Liam Markham, but Jasper might be wanting to play this one safe, potentially knowing that the driver in front of him has got to do a drive-through penalty within the next 2 or 3 laps. So it's all to play for third place then, if we... Cameron?
Isn't that interesting though? In about a space of a lap and a bit, we had Edu plummet from the race lead, having overtaken Liam Markham and Undertaker. That caused a virtual safety car, in which then the new race leader gets a drive-through with his nearest competitor. And now Jasper and RSD are in contention for the race win. You can't rule anything out. With about 7 laps to go, anything can happen here. In fact, I can't even predict it anymore. But Undertaker still putting in those fastest laps. They will have to serve that drive-through penalty, as Fozzy mentioned, within probably this lap, actually. So that will set them down to probably around P10 or P11. In fact, they'll come out near Edu, which will be nice for them. So those 3 will be battling once more, but for, well, maybe a point at stake. But Jasper and RSD, I do wonder, as you were saying, whether they're going to battle now between them two, because both of them will want the race win, or whether they just wait, hold on until the later stages of the race, hold position, as they say often, as they don't really need to close up to Lee, and they don't want to risk making contact or anything, but that seems to not have been heard over the radio there, as they're still closing up to Markham, who of course was a race winner, took an early race win in Australia, round 2 of the season, and has had a bit of poor luck throughout the rest of the season, to say the least. And that has been exemplified by his drive-through today, having pulled off potentially a cunning strategy, and now that has all gone down the bin. But Cass also pretty close, you have to say, to the McLaren. So the podium here, you'd expect between be Jasper, RSD and Cass, potentially even Kangaskhan once more managing to sneak a podium position. But nevertheless, we continue on. And there is a bit of a close battle going on for the low end of the points between Daigoro and Jeremy Clarkson, Fozzy.
Yeah, there is. Jeremy Clarkson and Daigoro fighting it out. As we see Liam Markham coming in now for his drive-through penalty, as is Undertaker as well. So we've got to get that one out of the way. That promotes it to a McLaren 1-2. Jasper leads from RSD. Cass not too far behind. And don't rule out any other safety cars as well if that was to happen. But that brings a few more drivers into contention as well. We know the pace of Kangaskhan is strong from previous races. He's got about 2 seconds to make up to the Alpine in front of him, should he want to make a move for that final podium position, and potentially more podium positions if he can get the pace to move on as well. But let's see then, what's going to happen between these 2 McLaren drivers then? Is there going to be a bit of team play going on, or are we expecting them to hold it as they are and try and defend from those behind him, try and not let Cass get any further in front of him? It's a decent day for Alpine, with a potential provisional podium at the moment, and Undertaker down there getting a few points for the team. Jeremy Clarkson, though, is gaining and gaining on Delange, but I think he's a little bit too far back as we approach Ascari for him to make a move this time around. 3-second time penalty for Jeremy Clarkson as well. Behind him is Daigoro, and he's been chased down by Marcus, who himself has got another 3-second time penalty. So a few penalties splittered about the field at the moment. At the moment, everybody holding their pace and just trying to keep it going in the right direction, Cameron.
It feels as if we all slightly calmed down a little bit now. There was a certain crescendo there of drama and calamity around Monza. Temple Speed always provides a brilliant race, so it gives us time to recompose ourselves. Although potentially not enough time for Daigoro here, as he looks for a slight move. Jeremy Clarkson. Jeremy Clarkson go defensive, unable for Daigoro to make that position gain, and remains P7. Although Jeremy Clarkson making a bit of a mess of the exit of the first chicane, opens the door slightly for Daigoro. You have to wonder whether Daigoro will attempt to move towards maybe the outside nor the inside into the Della Roger. Delange 93 leading this CERN train for the time being. Jeremy Clarkson though in the sandwich between these two cars, and they still hold position for now. And Marcus as well just behind them, the other Italian team also looking, or Italian Swiss team should I say, is also looking to make his move up the grid, potentially claiming a top 5 position. Look at the Drivers' Championship here. So Meyer was currently P2 heading into this round with 57 points. Jasper interestingly, wow, is third with 55 points, 2 points behind him. Jeremy Clarkson 45 points, as well as RSD also on 45 points. So just could see Jasper here be promoted. In fact, it will see Jasper be promoted to second in the Drivers' Championship, which, considering these two drivers joined later in the season compared to a lot of drivers, they've had a brilliant campaign, haven't they, Fozzy, so far?
They have, and talking of brilliance, it's not brilliance from Jeremy Clarkson as he gets too heavy on the throttle coming out of Parabolica. Manages to somehow keep all 4 tyres on now, but he needs to dart across and into the pit lane. That was a big shunt for Jeremy Clarkson. Into the pits he comes to retire from the race. So unfortunate for him. His 3-second time penalty is going to turn into a 7-day time penalty now, as we next see him in our next round in just a week's time. Top 3 at the moment still as they were. Jasper that leads from RSD and Cass, who has dropped back a little bit from the 2 McLarens in front of him. He's being chased down by Excel Kangakan, who's got his teammate for company just a couple of seconds behind as well. Daigoro and Marcus are certainly very close, some of the closest battles on the track at the moment, as we are still under green flag conditions. No virtual safety car or safety car from that crash at Parabolica there. Just to mention, Cameron, Liam Markham still on those tyres. Yes, he had a drive-through and came into the pits, but it was just a drive-through, no change of tyres for the AlphaTauri driver. So he's taking them to the end. Let's see what the grip's like for him, and if he can massage those tyres, so to say, all the way to the end. Do you think it'll be quite a bit of a challenge for him, or do you think he's got it under control? We did have the safety car running. Now, that safety car was out for about 3-4 laps, so I think that'll be the saving grace for his tyres here. But you want to be on puncture watch though. He is pushing as well. He's, overtake on, we're seeing as we ride on board with him. So he's definitely pushing to close that gap. It is 8 seconds. It's going to be pretty much improbable. Never impossible though. But I do think Liam will have to definitely massage these tyres to get them there comfortably. But the safety car might just be what saved him there. And I'd imagine if there was a full safety car there, that would have been even better for him. We don't really know what the tyre wear's like, but it'll be incredibly higher than anyone else on the field, probably double, if anything. But you have to say the lead out front, it has remained that 8/10 gap now. McLaren not wanting to trip over themselves as such. Might have been a little bit of team communication there saying, look, Jasper's higher in the standings, let's keep him ahead for now. And we know that RST will jump Jeremy Clarkson because he's now retired, and so it will become, I believe, dodgy maths depending, that it will be Jasper and RSD P2 and P3 in the driver's standings. That is a great showing for McLaren, and that will look even better in the constructors as they will take over. They will likely take over the lead of the constructors as we speak, because Williams are only going to score a couple points today, and Mercedes zilch. So definitely a brilliant, strong day for McLaren so far. Let's hope we don't jinx it too much anyway, as Daigoro looks to be within that 3/10 range, which is great for making a move into turn 1. He's not at turn 1 just yet. He's at the final corner, closing on Delange. We'll have a nice slipstream as well. And Marcus is around about 5/10 behind. He does have that penalty though, so he'll just be driving for minimum race time. Doesn't want to get involved in too many fights, I'd imagine. But here we go then. Let's see. Delange 93, the Williams,
of DeLange against the Ferrari of Daigoro. He is gaining, overtake on, looks towards the inside, a little bit close on the braking zone. He forced himself in that position though, making himself some room there around the outside. Want to be careful on the curb and the flick of oversteer. DeLange holds on for another lap, and Daigoro just holds on to his Scuderia Ferrari there, the 66 car, currently in P6. For
he's going
him
for it
there.
again, though.
He's going for it again, though. De La Roggia around the outside again, braking slightly later than Kangakon, and he's going to run wide. He's going to have to take the run off. He will have to give that position back. That is an illegal overtake, if I think so, anyway. And yes, there we go. We are seeing the change of position make it a little bit more awkward, though, around Lesmos 1, forcing DeLange to take the outside route there. Marcus might be getting a bit feisty, and here comes Daigoro once more in the inside through Lesmo 2. Gets the better run as well. Out the illegal overtake, gave the position back, and now Marcus is on the scene as well, looking to force DeLange into a difficult position. Will he have to overtake Daigoro, or will Marcus go around the outside? They make contact, front left to rear right, and here comes Undertaker. The overtaker diving in like a torpedo there, and takes P7 and challenges DeLange for P6, and potentially could be a top 5 finish for Undertaker, although I'm sure he'll regret his slight overzealousness on the VSC going to green earlier on, as that has cost him probably the race win. On the inside now through Parabolica, we have seen that the Williams cars do sometimes trip up a little bit in the wet conditions. Look at him hugging onto the rear wing of that Williams FW43B, takes to the outside line, is ahead comfortably of the Williams in the braking zone though. The Williams does not fight back, and it's Undertaker in to P6. Top 5 finish on the cards for Daigoro, as mentioned before, as we are on the penultimate lap of this PC F1 Italian Grand Prix here at Invictus Racing League. It's been a phenomenal race so far, and we are in the closing stages, but the level of drama has maintained its high levels throughout, and this battle between Undertaker and Daigoro might be one to watch towards the end, Fozzy.
Yeah, very optimistic moves from Undertaker, wasn't it, on that previous lap? Came out of nowhere to take a few positions where he could see others battling, but as we say every time, it's not over yet. Daigoro holds that P5. He's got Undertaker gaining on him, and we've seen the moves that Undertaker's made over the previous few laps, and I imagine he'll be able to try and make another one on Daigoro if he can get close enough. Marcus is also quite close to DeLange, but he's going to need a couple hundred meters more if he's to make a move in that territory. I'm also keeping an eye on Liam Markham just to see how his tyres are doing. Remember, he's the only driver to have been on these tyres since the start of the race, so puncture territory is somewhere which he might be entering soon. Driving hard is Liam Markham, but he seems to have it all under control at the moment. Looks like Daigoro just went a little bit wide as well there. Yeah, very wide, which will give a bit of hope to Undertaker, who might be able to make a move into turn 1, although being half a second back, I think he's going to need a little bit more road if he was to do that. Closest battle at the moment, though. Edu on Liam Markham for the bottom of the points positions. Edu on much fresher tyres, hopefully on this final lap, trying to make a move on Liam Markham if he can. But he's running out of corners, running out of opportunities. Undertaker does get past Daigoro. Maybe Daigoro went just that little bit wider. I didn't quite catch that one, but he's going to be hungry to take P5 back, is the Ferrari driver, in what is a home race for them. Is he able to make it happen there? He's not. But it is looking comfortable for the two McLarens, 1 and 2. Castle there in third, Kanken in fourth. Undertaker holding on to that P5, but he's got about half a lap to go. And Marcus has also got half a lap to try and make a move on DeLange for P7, but I don't think he's going to be able to do that. Will Edu be able to get a good drive out of the two Lesmos and out of turn 7 down towards the Sky chicane of turns 8, 9 and 10? We'll keep an eye on that one. But down towards Parabolica comes Jasper in a race that's been filled with chaos and strategy throughout, some which has paid off, some which hasn't. He's been fortunate in some cases with drivers DNFing and very good safety car timing, but it is a McLaren 1 and 2. Jasper takes the win, his teammate RSD behind him. It's a McLaren 1-2 for the second time this year.
There we go, it's win number 2 for Jasper, win number 4 for McLaren in Season 13 PC F1 Invictus Racing League. This is the place to be week in, week out for high octane drama. And Edu and this battle with Liam Markham is not over yet. Liam having to go wide through Parabolica. It looks to be settled now. The dust will settle. And it's Edu who takes P9 and P10. What could have been for them. And same for what could have been with Undertaker. Finished P5. Good recovery in the end. Down 3 position where he started, but he was leading the race. Had a drive through. had a bit of other drama, but now takes P5, and Kangakon is up 7 positions. He's done it again. This is why he is a champion-elect here, and the champion past. That's 7 positions just outside the podium positions. That will surely help him with his campaign, his very defiant campaign to take another championship this season. He came into this round with 89 points, over 40 points from his nearest competitor, and that gap extends further today. But Jasper, brilliant win for McLaren. They are really now in that battle for the constructors, and potentially even on top of the constructors battle. Do bear in mind we will have the standings, everything be released later on in the week after the stewards findings etc have been deliberated. And there is your driver of the day, very well deserved from Kangakon, and it could have been Liam Markham, I feel, though, with those grave heights, with those tyres, but unfortunately had that drive through. Isn't it nice to see a 1-2 there with Alpine as well on the podium to join them?
Yep, it sets us up very nicely for when we head to Portugal in a week's time. But what an Italian race that was. We know Italy can throw some spanners in the works when it comes to strategy, and we know it can be quite a toll on the engines. But it was the rain that took everyone off guard today. It's a McLaren 1 and 2, and that was an interesting race.
Interesting indeed. Here's your final race classification then. Jasper and RSD not starting on the front row, but they made their way towards the front throughout the race. It's a one-stop strategy for the top lot that was successful today. A few other drivers had to take some further stops due to unscheduled wing combustion. But never mind, it is Liam Markham takes points as well. He started outside of the points from P14. A good drive. Again, we were kind of robbed of what could have been an insane battle for the race win there. But there's your classification. Jeremy Clarkson, Mysterious and Bashi, your DNFs. And Amir is your final driver, just outside the points, P11. And there are your penalties as well. Bear in mind, we wait for the stewards' decisions to be released. I'm sure there might be a few incidents going to the stewards' room later. But here is your Season 13 calendar then. We head to Portugal next time for round 12. Portimao, a new circuit for driver and commentator here, so that will surely be fun. But then we go to Spain, Singapore, and wrap up this insane season in Mexico. So join us next week then for what will surely be another insane instalment of Season 13 PC F1 of Invictus Racing League. Ta-ra.